This video will show you how to replace the front brakes, pads, and rotors on a Mitsubishi Lancer. This will be located behind your front wheels. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. Safely raise and support the front of the vehicle so the wheel's off the ground. Now once you've done that, you're going to remove all 5 of your 21mm lug nuts so we can get the wheel off of here. Now that we have the wheel off, we have a clear view of our front brakes. Let's pay attention to our caliper. The caliper itself has a caliper piston that we need to carefully push back. To do that, I'm going to be using a small pry bar directly in this port that you can see on the caliper. I'm going to make my way in far enough that I can press up against the rotor, then gently pry outward on the caliper, forcing that piston inward. Now once you have some movement from that, we're going to continue on to our 2 caliper slider mounting bolts here and here. Using my 14mm here. Now looking at this lower slider pin, you can see that we do have a rubber vibration dampener at the far end. We need to make sure we clean and inspect this. We're not going to use any type of detergent which might cause an issue with this vibration dampener. Just go ahead and wipe it down with a clean rag. Set that aside. Now we can take hold of that caliper. You should be able to hold on to it. We'll slide out that upper pin. This one does not have a vibration dampener. It's just something to note for the installation process. We'll take that caliper and slide it out of position. Continuing on, we need to push back our caliper piston the rest of the way. Once we've done so, inspect to make sure you have no fluid coming out of the caliper piston seal. Now I've got my caliper compression tool here. Start pressing that piston in as far as possible. Now that we have that pushed back, our quick inspection for fluid, I do not see any. This looks good. We'll set this aside, putting no pressure on our flex hose as we continue on with our brake pad removal. You can see our pads on either side of the brake rotor. Just go ahead and pull those out of place. I typically like to give these a quick inspection just to see how they've been wearing. If they're worn at an angle, you might have had an issue with one of your slider pins. Now we have our caliper bracket mounting bolts next, so we can get this bracket off of here. We're using a 17mm for each one of these 2 bolts. You know what to do. We'll fully remove the first one, start it back in a couple threads as we continue on to the next. Remove the caliper bracket. Now we will be cleaning and lubricating this, but for now, let's go ahead and set it aside. We'll continue on with the removal of our brake rotor. We're taking one of our original lug nuts, we're starting it onto one of our lug studs, just a few threads here. That's going to prevent the rotor from falling off as we continue on. If you take hold of the rotor and it does not want to move around, we're going to have to tap on it with a hammer. When we do so, you need to make sure you do not hit on any one of your lug studs, which could cause damage. We're replacing the rotor anyway, so just go ahead and tap along the outer lip. There it is, friend. Now, prior to installation of any brand new part, we need to make sure we clean and inspect all mounting surfaces. For the brake rotor, we need to make sure we clean the hub mating surface. Go ahead and clean this down. I'm just going to be using this cleaning disc. parts cleaner here. We'll just double check to make sure it's a smooth mating surface. After cleaning that, you want to make sure you use some anti-seize on that mating surface as well. Just a light coating should do all the way around. Now it's time to install the brand new brake rotor. Make sure you clean both of your braking surfaces, front and rear. Continuing on, we'll get this in place. Now we'll hold it there. I'm using one of my original lug nuts. This is essentially to prevent it from falling off. Now we're on the bench and we're paying attention to our caliper bracket next. We're going to remove everything from it, clean it, lubricate it, and then install brand new parts. We're starting with the tins along each side of the caliper bracket. Just go ahead and pry those right out of place. A quick inspection, set them aside for recycling. Now it's time for our slider pin boots. These will have to be removed from the caliper bracket. We'll carefully make our way in between the caliper bracket and the boot, gently pry and pull it out of place. You can do it by hand, or you could use a small pocket screwdriver if necessary, whatever's easiest for you. Now once you have the boot out of place, we're going to continue on with cleaning it. Take your rag and slide it straight through the center port on your slider pin boot. Now once you have it through there, we're going to roll that slider pin boot around all over the rag and essentially remove anything from along the inside. Whether it's grease or debris, we want to make sure it's removed. Once you've cleaned it, a thorough inspection to make sure it's not torn, worn, or damaged in any way. If it feels like it's stiff and not functional, you're going to want to replace it. This one's fine, so I'll set it aside, continue the process for the next one. Now we've removed everything from the caliper bracket, we're going to continue on with our cleaning. The areas that we need to pay the most attention to will be the areas along each side of the bracket where we remove the tins from, and inside of each one of our two caliper slider pin ports. Let's start along the outer portion of the bracket first. For this, I'm just using a cleaning disc. We've done one side, just go ahead and do the same to the other. After cleaning both sides of the caliper bracket, we're inside of the caliper slider pin ports next. I'm over a collection receptacle so I can recycle any fluid as necessary. As we spray parts cleaner in, it's possible that some of it will want to come out, so make sure you're in a safe area so nothing gets on your face. We'll use a bore brush to clean this out. A quick rinse, and a close inspection, confirming there's no miscellaneous debris. Once you've completed one side of the bracket, just go over and do the exact same thing on the other. Now, once you have the caliper bracket fully cleaned, we're going to continue on with our high temperature caliper lubricant. Let's start along the areas where our caliper bracket tins go. We're using just a little bit of high temperature lubricant along each of these areas that we had cleaned down. This will help prevent rust buildup. Now, once you have the lubricant in place, we'll continue on with our brand new tins. Line them up, press them on, and make sure they're secured in place. Continuing on, it's time for our caliper slider pin boots. Continuing with our high temperature lubricant, lubricate the entire port, especially along the outboard side here where the boot will sit. This is going to keep moisture out of the area. Once you've lubricated, continue on with the installation of those boots. We're looking at the side that goes in. You can see that it is squeezable. We'll continue on by taking this. We're going to gently roll it into place. Press it in as far as possible. And then just double check to make sure it's seated all the way around. It should not fall out of place. Let's do the same for the other. Now we're over at the vehicle. We've cleaned and inspected both of our caliper bracket bolts. I like to use blue thread locker on my hardware. We'll get this bracket in place, gently sliding it over the brake rotor, aligning our mounting bolt ports, start in each one of those two bracket mounting bolts. They're started in, let's snug them up and then torque them to 80 foot-pounds. Double check to make sure your bracket's properly secured. We'll continue on with our brake pads next. Now, as for our brake pads, we want to make sure our inboard pad has a wear indicator, and we want it on the lower side of the brake pad. So once this does wear down, if something happened to that wear indicator, it will flake away, but not necessarily in towards the brakes, causing an issue. Let's get these brake pads in place. You should find that the brake pads slide into place fairly easily. If you have to hammer them in, you more than likely did not clean the bracket well enough. If that's the case, continue on with the cleaning process. Outer pad, same process, line it up, slide it in. This one should not have a wear indicator. Now we're looking at the caliper itself. We're continuing with our high temperature lubricant. We're going to lubricate along the caliper piston and along the backside of each of our two caliper ears. This is going to help with vibration dampening and noise reduction overall. You don't need very much lubricant here. Now we'll get that in place. Gently sliding it over each one of our brake pads and our caliper slider pin boots. We're lubricating our caliper slider pins next. We'll make sure we lubricate the entire smooth shafted area. Now once we have each of those two caliper pins properly lubricated, we can install these. The one with the vibration dampener goes along the bottom. Make sure our boots are properly aligned. We do not want to cause any damage. Once you have both of those started in, go ahead and snug them up, and the torque for these will be 35 foot-pounds. Double check to make sure the caliper is properly secured and you have not twisted your brake flex hose in a way that might restrict brake fluid flow. Now we can remove our lug nut from this area and reinstall our wheel. One last quick inspection in this area. Let's install our wheel. We'll start on all 5 of our 21mm lug nuts. Bottom them out. Get the wheel safely on the ground and then torque each of these lug nuts to 80 foot-pounds. The wheel safely on the ground, we're torquing these to that 80 foot-pounds in a crisscross manner. Torqued. Okay friend, we finished the installation of one side of our vehicle's front brakes. Once you've completed this, go over to the other side of the vehicle and repeat the exact same process. After that, pump up the brake pedal till it's nice and firm and take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.